Okay, my name is David Haglund. I'm a professor of political studies at Queen's University in Kingston, and I'm involved through the security and defense aspect of the network that is being spearheaded by Frédéric Méron at the University of Montreal. I am a specialist to the extent I specialize in anything these days in transatlantic security relations. My primary interest in the transatlantic realm is actually on this side of the Atlantic, not that side of the Atlantic, in that I work on Canadian security and defense policy as well as U.S. Security and defense policy. And in the context of those two North America-centered research agendas, I have a strong interest in relations with Europe, either with European institutions or Europe-based institutions such as NATO, or with European states. And in the past, I've done work on the Franco-German security and defense relationship. That was a book that came out in the early 90s that followed my first sabbatical, which was spent in Strasbourg in 89-90. In 96-97, I spent a sabbatical in Bonn, where I was at the University of Bonn and was I was a visiting scholar and visiting Canadian professor from the Nord America program at University of Bonn. And after that sabbatical, another book came out that looked at the North Atlantic Triangle, which made the argument that despite all of the stories to the contrary that Canada had been losing interest in Europe, I tried to show that this wasn't quite correct, that in terms of security and defense cooperation, the North Atlantic Triangle remained as relevant as it always had been. I spent my next two sabbaticals back in France. One was in Aix in the early part of this decade, and the most recent one was in 2009 in Paris, where I was the visiting chef d'études canadienne at Paris à la Sorbonne Nouvelle. And again, my research interests involved transatlantic security relations. In 2009, in cooperation with Frédéric Méron and the network, we organized a conference on France's return to NATO. That resulted several months later in the publication of a special theme issue of European security on this topic. It was a special issue that grouped together a lot of scholars interested in what the implications of the French readjustment in respect of the alliance would be for transatlantic security, but also for European security. At the moment, I have a couple of projects underway that involve North America and Europe. One is a book project on the relations seen from a strategic culture point of view between France and the United States. And the one that's occupying most of my time right now, because it has to be finished within another year, is a project that looks at the impact of ethnic diasporas on the North American security community, and two of these ethnic diasporas of historical significance were European-based diasporas. Finally, as for the future, a project that is increasingly interesting me, it involves this ideational entity that's known as Anglo-America, which is not necessarily reducible simply to the sum of U.S. bilateral relations with the UK, but is rather a much broader concept, and one in which about which there are significant implications for Canada, as well as for Western European countries and for the European Union and for NATO.